Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast, the podcast about mental health, healing, and finding strength. Today's guest has made an incredible story of resilience. She is the author of Bridemaid, a memoir about surviving 29 years of marriage to a covert narcissist. Our guest today is author Mia Hanks. She'll share what it's like to endure narcissistic abuse, gaslighting, and coercive control, and how she reclaimed her life. Whether you're on your own healing journey or supporting someone else, this episode will be full of insights and hope. Mia, thank you for agreeing to come on today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right, so I'm ready to hear your inspiring story. So we're just going to jump right into the questions.
Okay.
Okay. Can you share what led you to realize that you were in a relationship with a covert narcissist?
It's complicated, right?
Hmm.
So you don't realize when you get into a relationship with these types of people that it is an abusive situation. It's something that evolves over time. They gain a little more control, they get a little more abusive, more manipulating. And so it's sort of a snowball effect. And when you mix in the gaslighting with it, a lot of people, I think, don't realize that they are in a bad situation until they're so deep into it that it feels too daunting to get out. So for me, I really can't define a point where I I decided it was abuse.
Hmm.
I think I was lying to myself through a lot of my marriage, trying to convince myself that everyone lived like this. I think we all want to be quote unquote normal and
Hmm.
feel like we're living a normal life. So, yeah, a lot of my marriage, I think I was trying to convince myself this was okay. It really wasn't until I started experiencing more physical symptoms from just the continued stress. That's when I decided that I needed to make a change and get out of this marriage.
Okay, now you use the term gaslighting, and that's a term that we hear quite often. Can you explain what gaslighting um, is and how it played a role in your experience?
Yeah. So gaslighting, you do hear that term used so much right now. It's
Hmm.
a hot word. It's not used correctly most of the time that you hear it used, though.
Hmm.
Gaslighting isn't a synonym for lying, like a lot of people think. It's more about changing the narrative. So, for example, if I brought up a situation to my now ex-husband and said, I really didn't. I didn't like when you said this to me or when you did this to me. It really hurt me. Um, Instead of apologizing, like a normal person would think to do, being a narcissist, he never apologized. So instead, he would more or less flip the script, right? And he would say, well, you shouldn't have had that reaction. You're too sensitive. Any normal person wouldn't have been hurt by that. Therefore, there must be something wrong with you. And every time something's brought up, this is his response. And what he's doing is he's slowly convincing me that he's not the problem, I'm the problem. And when you go through this enough, you start to really second guess yourself. And you start to ask yourself, well, maybe it is me. Maybe I am crazy. And so it's gaslighting as a way to convince someone of something that's completely not true, but make them believe it is the truth. It's a very insidious tactic. And I think nearly all narcissists will do this to their victims. It's just a way of gaining control and getting what they want.
Thank you so much for bringing awareness around this term because you are correct. It is used incorrectly a lot within the last year or two. Personally, just hearing that, and it was kind of used in the wrong context. So thank you for bringing awareness and clarity around gaslighting. Now, something I wanted to know, um, leaving a narcissistic partner, I would imagine would be kind of challenging, maybe. Did you face any obstacles when you decided, I've had enough, I'm ready, I want to divorce? Was there anything that was challenging for you?
Yeah, the whole process,
Hmm.
literally every step of the way. So when you are leaving a narcissist, I think the one thing you have to keep in mind is you are not leaving a neurotypical person. This is someone who has a personality disorder. Their reactions are not necessarily going to be the same. And narcissists will get very triggered when they feel that they're being discarded or when they're being told no, because that's just not, in their agenda. They don't accept no, and they don't accept anything that doesn't that's not on their, on their in their playbook. So leaving a narcissist is it can be terrifying. You just don't know what the reaction is going to be, and you have to be prepared for anything. But yeah, I would say, I read so much about this, and so many experts will say that you should go no contact. To me, that didn't feel like the safest way. And so what I did is I went kind of slow contact, low contact, and tapered off to no contact. Making just a fast break for me didn't feel like the safest way to move with it. And so basically, what I did is I told my husband, I need some time. I need a mental break from this. I need some time to myself to sort some things out. At that point, I knew I was not coming back, but it was a slow way to get out. Um, Other challenges came when he discovered I wasn't coming back. Then he just pulled out all the stops, and was gonna try to make my life so miserable that I would have no choice but to return. The biggest way he did this, and something that's not talked about a lot, is financial abuse. So as soon as he decides I'm not coming back, his first line of defense is to drain the bank account, so that I can't access money to buy food or things that I need. This is a very common tactic that narcissists will do because oftentimes they are the ones in control of the finances. So definitely it was everything was a challenge, and then he drew out the divorce as long as he possibly could, the process, in an attempt to wear me down. And just hope that if he drew it out long enough and if I spent the maximum amount in legal fees that I would just give up. So yeah, it was every bit of it was challenging, but
Hmm.
on the flip side, I will say every bit of it was worth it to get free and to gain my independence.
Now, your book, um, Bridemaid, it really shows about healing from deep trauma, or your experience. Um, would you mind sharing how you healed and how you recovered um, after your divorce?
Yeah, I think I'm still on that healing journey,
Hmm.
and everybody's on a different timeline.
Hmm.
I think that the probably the first thing I did that really laid some good groundwork for healing was I sought out a therapist, and I specifically found someone who was pretty well versed in narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder. It
Hmm.
really helps if you can find someone who has some experience with that because, it's one of those things, unless you've lived through it, you just can't hardly believe the
Hmm.
things that go on. So, I did find a good therapist. I did weekly therapy for about a year. And, therapy is not, it's not a magic cure. It's not going to fix everything. But what it does is it lays the groundwork for you to begin this healing journey. And it kind of sets everything in motion so that you sort of know what you're doing and how to move forward. So I think that was very helpful.
Hmm.
Another thing I think is just building a support system. And
Hmm.
coming out of a narcissistic marriage, support is probably not something that you have much of. And so, yeah, but you only need a few people. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people think you need a big, huge team around you, and you really don't. If you can have two or three people, it can make all the difference in the world. Just somebody to hold you accountable, to see that you are taking care of yourself and
Mhm.
checking in with you. That's a huge help to have those people in your corner and somebody you can turn to.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you freely shared you sought out a therapist who met your needs. Because there's so many stigmas around seeking treatment through a therapist. Some people, I in my personal experience, some people feel that reaching out to a therapist is like a form of a weakness, but it really isn't. And so that's why I try to talking about reaching out for resources and therapy. I just try to make it like a normal part of conversation so that people will understand when you reach out and you start therapy, it's a big win. You
It
haven't
is. It
lost.
is.
So I'm so glad you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for someone who has never sought out therapy before, it
Hmm.
does seems a little scary,
Yeah.
and it does feel like, wow, that it's come to this, things have
Hmm.
gotten so bad that I need a therapist. But
Yep.
I would encourage people not to view it that way. It's not the final straw. People will say, oh, it's just so bad. I guess I'm gonna have to get therapy. It's really not the final straw. It's just think of it as a tool.
Yes.
And again, it's not going to fix everything. It's not a magic cure, but it is going to set you on the right path, if you find the right therapist. And that's
Right.
that's key as well.
Absolutely. Well, I want to leave these final moments with you. Um, I would love for you to share with the audience who will view this later a little bit about your book, where they can find it at, and anything that you want to um, resonate from today's podcast interview.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a quick little tidbit here of how the book came to be. When I got out of my relationship, I was seeking out information about narcissism. I wanted to learn more about this and, why do people end up as narcissists and what does abuse look like from other people's perspectives.
Mhm.
Everything I could find, interestingly enough, was written by therapists and psychologists. Great information, but very academic. And I was really wanting to find an insider point of view. Like, I want to know, what is somebody else in this position? What does their day-to-day life look like?
Mhm.
I couldn't find that. And so that's why I decided to write the book, hoping that it will help other people out there in these situations be able to look and say, that's what it looks like. That's what I'm
Mhm.
experiencing. So that's kind of how it came to be. And it's available in paperback and ebook formats everywhere online that books are sold: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart. So yeah, please check it out. And as far as like a resonating message, one thing I always like to tell people is it's really easy to feel like you're stuck when you are in a relationship with a narcissist, especially like myself, nearly 3 decades. It's easy to say, I've been here for so long. I don't know this is all I know, which was in my case, it was all I knew. And I wouldn't even know where to start if I left, it's just, I'm too ingrained in this marriage. Um, but that really is, you're fooling yourself because you absolutely can get out. It does not matter how long you've been in the relationship. There's a path out. There's always, always a path. You're never stuck. There are resources out there. There are people that can help you. And I would just encourage anyone, please don't stay in one of these relationships just because you feel stuck and it feels too daunting. Because really, it's life is so much better when you get on the other side of abuse.
Thank you for that. And I'm sorry, there was one more thing I wanted you to share.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing your website, in case people may want to reach out to you for future speaking engagements, or they just want to learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, it's a fairly newly launched website. It's miajhanks.com. And there of course is a link to purchase my book through Amazon on that website, as well as links to lots of podcast interviews, all different types of shows. And I recently started a blog, so hoping to kind of keep that going. I think there's about 3 posts on there now. So yeah, check out my website, please.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be in contact with you shortly with the information that you need.
Okay, thank
All
you so
right. Take
much.
care.